Hey guys, it's Elle from Red Over Heels with Elle, and today I'm going to be doing a really fun video, which is I'm going to be talking about all of the romances you need to read before the end of the year. I saw Jess from Peace Love Books do this, but she did it where she had her followers send in books that they think everybody should read by the end of the year, but I wanted to do a version where I tell you some of my favorite books of this year and what you should be reading before the end of the year, because the end of the year is coming quick. It's a couple months away, which sounds absolutely crazy. I feel like this year has just flown by. I'm not ready for it to be over, but I really wanted to do this video so I could kind of gather my thoughts on some of my favorite books of the year that I've read so far. So let's get right into this video. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Penalty Box by Odette Stone. So I read this book in January and I listened to this whole series on Hoopla, and I just like fell in love with this series. It is a hockey romance series where it follows different players of this hockey team, and this one is definitely my favorite of the whole series. This is a marriage of convenience, kind of like not forced marriage, but like it's more marriage of convenience, if I'm being honest. It's more marriage of convenience. So our hero is a Russian hockey player and he needs to marry somebody so that he can stay in the country, I think. And so he ends up like propositioning one of the like social media marketing people of the hockey team. I think it's also like part of his like publicist team. So he's like, if you marry me, I will give you a sum of money. And she's like, I really need this money, so let's do a marriage of convenience. And so she ends up having to live with him and stay with him, and he treats this marriage like it's a real marriage. He's very possessive over her, and he's like, nobody's gonna mess with you because you're with me. And I just fell in love with this romance. I love in like marriage of conveniences where the hero treats it like a real marriage, like not just in front of other people, but like behind the scenes. And I just love this one. It was so fun, and there's so suspense in this one that I also found really fun, and I just love the audio of this book. I remember the narrator being really good for the hero. If you want like a really fun hockey romance series, definitely go check this one out. The next book you should read by the end of this year is The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan. If you want a really good spicy romance with some really good plot in there as well, I recommend this one. So this basically starts off with the hero and heroine are in like rival, like she's in a sorority and he's in a fraternity, and they have this game competition thing where she sees somebody from his fraternity cheating, and she basically starts a fight with this fraternity, and they both end up getting kicked out of their respective like fraternity and sorority, and so they both have nowhere to live. And she sees an ad in the paper for if you want to live in this house, it is in a great neighborhood, but you have to do some adult videos to have a room in this house. So she goes for the audition. She's like, I don't really want to do this, but maybe I'll just see what it's about. And so she goes for this audition, and she ends up seeing the hero there. And mind you, she absolutely hates the hero, finds him so disgusting for cheating and getting them both kicked out. And so they end up having to do a adult video together, and they have to pretend and act like they have this like insane chemistry on screen, but they really like hate each other so much, and it is so good. I love this romance. I found it so spicy, but had some really good plot in there, and I just loved it. It was just so much fun. There's so many fun scenes in this one with the adult videos that they have to do, and I just love this one. The next book I'm going to talk about is Mercy by Sarah Kate. This is definitely my favorite book in the Salacious Players Club series. This is a reverse age gap, which means that the heroine is the older one and the hero is the younger one. So the heroine is one of the club owners of the Salacious Player Club, and she's always been kind of like a workaholic, not really into the club scene, but she randomly decides to take this like test they have for their app where you can find out like what your kink is, and she finds out that she is kind of like, it's like a dominatrix, but I can't remember what they use. It's like a Dame or something like that. I can't really remember, but she's like abhorred at this idea, like that can't be right, and she ends up matching with a sub, and she's like, this is crazy, like I'm not gonna do it. And so they end up, her and the person that she matches with they end up like messaging each other, and they're both like, I've never done this before, and it's really, really interesting. And so she ends up meeting the guy at the club, and then she ends up discovering that he is actually the son of one of her best friends and club owners. So it is the hero, and first book ended up falling in love with his son's girlfriend. And so the hero is the guy that, like, his dad is with his ex-girlfriend. So it's a really, really fun plot, but they have to kind of figure out like if they're going to be together, and they decide that they're going to kind of experiment their like kinks together. And it's really, really interesting. I'd never read a book like this before, and I really, really liked it. I loved this book, and I love seeing like the different perspective of the, you know, we always see in like when in romances when the like a dad gets with his son's ex-girlfriend, but we don't really see like how that affects the son. So I really love seeing that perspective in this romance, and it was just really fun. I definitely love this one the most. I love Bay, and that's the hero's name, and I just thought it was such a great romance, and I can't wait to read more from this series when Madame comes out. I have The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. This is a fake dating romance, which is like, I just thought this book was so perfect and so much fun. So our heroine, she is best friends with the hero's younger sister, or like twin sister, and she has nowhere to stay. And so her best friend is like, well, you can stay with my brother. And he is like, absolutely no, like we can't do that, like you're super messy and I'm very clean. And so he finally agrees that she can stay with him. And so it's kind of Grumpy Sunshine also, like he's kind of the grump, and he's also a basketball player and his coach, and he's now like the chief, or like the head, I don't remember what it's called, the captain of the team, but the coach really wants him to see him like settle down with someone. So he is like to the heroine, like, can we fake date? And she kind of has a reason why she would benefit from this relationship as well. So they end up starting to fake date, and it is just amazing because the hero just like cares so much about the heroine, and he, like, his acts of affection are that he does like acts of service. Like he knows that she loves iced coffee, so he'll in the morning like make her coffee and then put it in the fridge and do all these like really cute, sweet gestures. And I just love this romance. I love the hero and his acts of service. It's just amazing. The heroine is absolutely hilarious, and she's so relatable. And this is a basketball romance, but also fake dating, and it's just so fun. I just love this series, and I love this romance, and I cannot wait for the third book in this series to come out. Then I have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This book is super fun as well. I just love this book. I listened to the audio of this one, and it is just amazing. So our hero and heroine don't get off on the best foot like in the beginning, because the heroine is a doctor and the hero is a doctor, and he's coming on new into the hospital, and she thinks that he's vying for like the chief position of like surgery, and she's kind of mad at him, like, you're going for what I wanted. And so they kind of get off on the wrong foot, but then he like apologizes to her, and they start corresponding via letters, and he's like, I have a lot of anxiety, so that's maybe why we didn't get off on the right foot of like an incident that happened. And he really needs somebody to like fake date with him, because his brother is marrying his ex-girlfriend, and he was invited to the wedding, and he really just wants to show them that he's fine. Like they're all very like coddling over him, and it's like, are you okay with this? And he's like, yes, but he's not really okay with it. And so they decide to start fake dating, and it's really, really good. It's very emotional as well, because the heroine is dealing with her brother, who I think is in kidney failure or liver failure, I can't remember, but it's super heavy on her heart, and we see that throughout the whole book. And I just really loved seeing the representation of anxiety in this one of the hero. It was super realistic, and I just love this book. I highly recommend it. It is so good. Listen to the audio because you will not regret it. It is just incredible. I just love this book so much. So this will probably sound like a broken record, but I just love this book so much that I had to mention it, which is Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting. This book is so good. So this is an age gap romance, reverse age gap romance, where the hero and heroine have a fling during the summer, and then when he goes into his senior year of college, he finds out that she is his professor. And so he still kind of has like feelings for her and wants to have a relationship, but she's like, no, we can't, like, I'm your professor. And so they kind of have to like figure out how they're gonna be together, and it's just super angsty because she's like, we can't be together, but they have such a connection and chemistry, and it's just so good. I love this one, and there's a suspense in this one with an ex that is kind of creepy towards the heroine and stalkery, and it was just such a fun romance. I love this whole series. It's very angsty and tension filled, and I think he's also a hockey player, so there's some hockey romance in this one, but I highly recommend. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Wrong Bride by Katerina Mora. If you really want a super angsty romance, this one is for you. So the heroine has been in love with her sister's fiance for years. She was actually supposed to marry him first, but then they ended up falling in love, her sister and the hero, and so their families made this deal, like arranged marriage, and she was supposed to be arranged marriage to like him first, but then her sister fell in love, so it ended up working out. But then on the wedding day of her sister and the hero, the sister backs out and the heroine ends up having to step in, and she ends up having to marry her sister's fiance. And it is so angsty because he is still in love with her sister, but he's like, I want to give this marriage a real shot, and so he is trying to, like, he starts falling for the heroine, and it's just so angsty and just incredible. I highly recommend this one if you want a really good angsty romance, and like as a first book, if you haven't read Katerina Mora, I highly recommend this one. Next book I'm going to talk about is Manacled by Sin Yu. So like, I know this book is so intimidating. It was intimidating for me too, but it is absolutely incredible. If you are on like the fence about reading this book, I recommend just reading it because it is so good. This is a Draco Malfoy and Hermione fan fiction. So I've never really read fan fiction before this book, but I am definitely excited to read more fan fiction, especially like Hermione fan fiction. So this is in a world where Harry Potter did not win the big war against Voldemort, and so now Voldemort is like the leader, and his army is like taking over the wizarding world. So Hermione is basically being given to Draco Malfoy, who is like the High Reeve, to basically be breeded because she has all of these memories that she just like can't remember, and they think that if she has a baby that she will regain these memories, and so she's given to Draco. And this is a very dark romance, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to get into spoilers, but just know this is an epic romance. It is absolutely incredible. I just love the relationship. I just love romances where the hero will basically give up the world for the heroine, and it's just fantastic. It is probably one of my favorites books of all time. It is just incredible. Highly recommend. And the last book I'm going to talk about is Glimmers of You by Catherine Cowles. Basically this whole series, the Lost and Found series, I highly recommend to read this year before the year ends because it is just an incredible series, and this is the latest installment of the series. So Glimmers of You is a friends lovers fake dating romance and billionaire romance. So the hero and heroine have always been close since they were kids. The hero is best friends with the heroine's brothers, and so one day they go on a hike and the heroine basically collapses, and what they don't know is that she is diabetic, and they just haven't, you know, they never knew this. And so the hero is basically very freaked out by this incident because he is so worried that he's going to lose her forever. And so he kind of like leaves town and leaves her in the dust and doesn't see her for a really long time, and now he's back in town and she wants nothing to do with him. But then she had a couple dates with this one guy, and he just will not get the hint that she is not interested. And so the first person she sees, she kind of is like, you know, we're in a relationship together, and the first person she sees is the hero. So they start fake dating, but then they already have feelings for each other, and it just gets really tension filled, and he is very protective over her, and I just love this romance so much. It was so good. He's also a billionaire, and there's some suspense because she has like a stalker, and there is just some crazy stuff that happens in this book, but it is so fun. It is a small town romance. It's kind of like, you know, they both have really intense feelings for each other, but they don't want to let the other one in because of how hurt they were by each other, and I just love those types of romances. So I highly recommend this one. If you haven't read it yet, just read this whole series because it is incredible. Right, well, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me chat about some books that you need to read by the end of the year, because all of these books are absolutely incredible. Some of my favorites of the year and all time, so definitely go check them out. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.